Check 1 2. Check 1 2. Check 1 2. Check. Check. Check 1 2. There we go. All right, what's going on, y'all? Let's make sure y'all can hear. Just double check with these. There we go. I can hear myself good through here. Check 1 2. There we go. That's a good volume right there. Come on in. Let me know where you watching from. I know I'm streaming live here, and I have Instagram pulled up, and I also have. Oh, let me change this lighting because I know it gets kind of weird. There we go. That's better. That cuts out the light behind me from being so bright, and that makes it intimate right here. See, I got on my Sounds of Faith hat. I'm gonna talk about that and a lot more here. So come on in. If you're on Facebook or if you're on YouTube, just shoot me a Shoot me a comment and let me know that everything sounds good on your end, and then I will get started. I wanted to talk about why musicians struggle with identity. This is a really heavy topic, but I wanted to drop some nuggets and kind of share some personal experiences and give a little bit of my testimony, and then go from there. Okay, so I'm just gonna make sure everybody sounds good. Okay, I got a thumbs up. So yeah, if you're not in position to chat, just give me a thumbs up if everything is fine. You hear me good, and then we'll get started. Man, did y'all send this this Thanksgiving? You know, usually people pig out. But I'm thankful for my family. I'm thankful for you all. I'm thankful for everything that God has blessed me with. I'm always learning and growing. We're always learning. And it's all about applying the things that you learn, being thankful and appreciative that you have teachers and you have people in your life that care enough to challenge you and make it possible for you to grow. And so, we have these different outlets that we can use, social media outlets and different ways we can connect with people and share. So I wanted to come on here and talk about this. So let's get started. All right, so we're 6 after. So let's get started. Cool. So, yeah, what's up? Instagram? I won't be able to get a lot of those comments live, but I'm gonna get into it. So, thank you so much for chiming in on this live stream. And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna start from here so that when I edit it on YouTube, it will, be right to the point. Okay. Excuse me. Why musicians struggle with identity. Why do musicians struggle with identity? That's what I'm going to talk about on this video. All right, what's going on? This is Quamon Fowler coming to you, the Texas tenor. And also my mission statement is where I like to nourish the soul with music and the message. So this is something that I'm actually going to start purposely doing when I do share my content. Well, this has been at the base and core of what I do just overall. And so the thing that I wanted to talk about is identity. And so let me give you a little bit of background behind this whole idea and the reason why I'm doing this post and what I'm doing right now in my life at this particular point in time. So, first of all, when it comes to identity, it's something that you need to know. You need to know who you are. You need to know who you are not. And so these are like basic principles, but I feel that they have been complicated for us as musicians because a lot of times we embrace our ability and talents that we have and we make that our identity. And as a result of that, we're confused. We end up being confused because we're put in a situation where we're always serving others, whether it be being a church musician or being a secular musician or independent contractor, work for hire. All of these terms that I'm throwing out there, I want you to get the context of what I'm saying. When you're put in a position where people are hiring you or pulling on you, wanting you to play for the Christmas events, wanting you to play for corporate events, wanting you to play for birthday parties, wanting you to teach their child how to play, or they want you to record with them on a new project. People are always pulling on us as musicians, especially when we're really talented. And so what happens a lot of times, we get into this mode of just being the hired help. We get into this mode where we're always serving others, which is not a bad thing because music, in terms from a biblical standpoint, it does operate under the gift of helps. So it does encourage people. It makes people feel good. It prepares atmospheres. It is used everywhere. It's used in television, commercials. It's used in worship. It's used in celebrations. It's just one of those things. Music is a universal language. So as a musician, when we practice and study, it takes up a lot of mental real estate. And so a lot of times we're not, like when we first get into it, we're so captivated with the sounds, we're captivated with the techniques, we're captivated with the study and all of that. And a lot of times we don't think about basic things outside of music in order to help ourselves to function and carry what we're called to carry for overall in its entirety as just human beings away from the music. And so that's a lot to say. I hope I made it all clear and put things in the front of your mind to really entice you, because this is something that we struggle with as musicians because, and I imagine other people in other fields can identify, but one of the things you want to do, and this is one of the things, like, let's say back in 2015, it was really, really pressing on me to do my book, The Christian Musician. Let me grab it. So my book, The Christian Musician, I released back in 2015. And so what I was wanting to do, or what was really pressing on my heart, is to write this book and talk about what our real gift is. Okay, because coming up as a musician, especially if you're talented, you are always told that you have a gift. This is God's gift. Like, you're gifted to play music. You're gifted to do this. And people tell you, oh, you're good, you're genius if you're at that level. You know, people will really gas you up and make you feel like this is what I'm supposed to do. Now, excuse me. So now, it's not to say that that's not what you're supposed to do. I'm just saying it could be an aspect of what you're called to do, or an aspect of, your talents. You know what I'm saying? And so let me say it like this. So what ends up happening is a lot of musicians, they will submit themselves to the persona of a musician, or they'll submit themselves to the identity of a musician. And a lot of times when you look at them outside of music, their function outside of music, they're struggling. They're struggling in life. They're struggling with their finances. They're struggling with business. You know what I'm saying? I promise you, everybody out there can hear what I'm saying and know what I'm talking about. And especially when it comes to an economy, or when you're dealing with being a independent contractor, there's usually not any benefits tied to that. It's basically work for hire. So you go and you provide the service, and then that's it. Whereas a person can get a job at a university, or a certain job to where they have the benefits and, the salary, the consistent paycheck every two weeks or every month or whatever, depending on how your structure is set up when you have a job, because that's a system and it's a structure that's set in place for people who work regular jobs like that. But for musicians, it's like I say, it's gigs, it's sporadic, it's here and there, independent contract work. And so we end up ripping and running and doing all these gigs, especially if you want to make a substantial amount. Normally it requires for you as a musician to go on the road, to travel hours and hours overseas. You might have fun playing overseas and traveling and things like that, but it takes a toll on you if you have a family, or it takes away time from the quality time with your family. Yeah, it's work, and it might be fun. You might get to play with the cats at a certain level that you always dreamed to do, and all of that kind of stuff. But at the same time, it takes away from your own personal program and own personal goals that you it can when it comes to family. I'm not saying traveling is, can't be a part of your goals and all of that. That's okay. I did a lot of traveling earlier on in my 20s, traveling around the world and playing with different people at a high level and all of that. I did that. But let me tell you, what I found is by the time I got 30, or actually 28 going into 30, I had identity issues, because I had all of this acclaim as a notable jazz saxophonist in the world, but just things internally were very conflicting. And so the thing that's a little interesting about me, of course, I came up in church, so I always was aware of God's word, what to do, what not to do. And of course, you know how it is when we are young. We get away from home and we'll explore and do certain things. But the thing that's interesting, if you have the word inside of you, most times, some people just rebel and they just, they have traumatic situations that really push them out there. And some, don't return or don't want to return or feel like they have gone too far to return. But for me, I didn't go out like that. I was exposed to different things. But at the same time, I was like, you know what? I don't want to go out there like that. You know what I'm saying? You see certain people in their behavior, and you see certain vices and things that your peers might have, colleagues or whatever, musician peers and stuff like that. You see the struggles and the trauma that how they're responding to their trauma and getting into all of these different things, and you think about, man, I don't feel that. Like, it's not in me to really do all these different activities that I'm seeing that's going on. I just wanted to play, but you start seeing these struggles that musicians are having, and it's quite common. And then you have to sit back and think, like, man, why is this like this? And it's basically people are being used. Most of the time, musicians are being used, and the person is able to use and abuse you most of the time because you don't know your identity. You don't know who you are. You haven't put parameters in place where oh, that's out of bounds. That's not who I am. That's not what I do. And I'm even talking about, not even just talking about getting involved in to sex and drugs and all of that. I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about clearly defining who you are in terms of a man, a woman, a husband, a wife, a father, a mother, like just from a human being standpoint and what God has created us to be and how he's designed us to function, and the whole idea of having a family one day, even before you're even there. Like as a child, are supposed to be raised from our father and mother. And then we watch that model. And of course, when we get to that point, we're dating or courting, we look to have a wife. Like for me, I wanted a wife when I was like 18, because I was wilding, and I was like, no, I don't want to be like this, And if you want to give details on all of that, a lot of people like controversy, or what you call it, mess. But if you want to get into it, you can go to The Christian Musician, and this is my book where I kind of explain my life and talk about what that gift really is. And so also I left a link that is in this video where you can check out the audiobook. So if you have Amazon Prime already, you can actually start, I think it's $0. Like you don't have to pay anything to get the audiobook. So they got a new special or something going on, especially during this time, Black Friday or Thanksgiving weekend. They always had those deals and stuff. But click that link that's in the description of this video, and you can go check out the audiobook and listen to it. But check it out. Here it is. So I was just saying, a lot of times for me, when I was 18, I saw patterns and stuff that I was just going with the flow, following my fleshly desires and stuff like that. And I was like, man, wait a minute. This is not what I feel that God has for me. You know what I'm saying? I didn't want to be one way on the outside or in front of people, and then a different person behind closed doors. Another thing that is very important too, when you have a call on your life, God will give you, he'll convict you. You'll feel those, what do you call it? You'll feel those pullings where you feel like, nah, I can't do that. Like I was turning down certain gigs with certain people in college when other friends and other peers were doing stuff. Like I was not doing stuff that I knew I didn't need to do, although I kind of wanted to do, but I had to not take those things because God had a different plan and a course for my life. And that can be something that plays with your head. But at the same time, you have to differentiate between what you want to do or explore and what God has for you. But your confidence is going to come from having a relationship with God and hearing from him when he speaks to you. Then you can just do what he says do, and then it will create the peace. It'll create a more paved path for you than just going out there trying stuff only to realize that you got a void in your life. And that's what I've seen most of the time with a lot of musicians. They'll travel the world, and I've talked to them. They travel the world, did all this stuff, and just still feel unfulfilled. They feel like, this is not it. I even met different musicians over time, and, I'm married, have a son and daughter, and, we talk and catch up, and they're still, I'm talking about different musicians who I've met who I've seen, that I've known like back in the day. They're still single, that are still single. And then when you talk to them about you having a family and everything, they're like, dang, they're feeling like, man, I wish I would have had that or could have had that. But that's what I'm saying. Music is so consuming, and it's such a hustle sometimes just to keep the bills paid, and you forget about just a normal, what they call it, civilian life. But the thing about it is you have to start with the end in mind. So when you clearly defined who you are, like I said, man, gonna speak about myself. Man, one day I wanted to be married, and I actually wrote these things down back in the day and put them on my in my room on the wall. And so I was really big about writing down what I wanted to accomplish. So, and I talk about in the book too, how when I won the Thelonious Monk competition back, the third place in it back in 2008, when I was inspired to do that, it was back in 1995 when I saw that Joshua Redmond had won that. And so I was really big on writing down what I wanted to accomplish and making sure I did it. So I would pray, I would practice, and I was just diligent with going after the things that I desired. I identified what I wanted to do, and I went out and I accomplished it. When I practiced on the saxophone, I would practice with the fervency of I want to be one with the horn. So I had that type of urgency. The first day when I started playing saxophone back in middle school, they only taught us one note in the class. And at the end of the class, I went to the teacher. I was like, what's the rest of the notes? He's like, this is just the first day. You're going to get those, throughout the week. And I was like, nah, that's not good enough. I wanted to know how to play every note on the saxophone. So I went home and practiced, and I learned how to play every note on the saxophone. So I had that type of urgency, fervency for getting what I want, out of the saxophone. And even music. When I heard music that was challenging or that was cool, I would learn it. And the stuff that was challenging, I would learn it. And so I did that because I wanted what I heard. I wanted to be able to play those things that I heard. And so little did I know and understand that was not just a musical ability. That's just an ability. That's just how I'm wired. And so that's the thing that I had to learn later. So the things that kind of inspired me to write the book, The Christian Musician, Learn What Your Real Gift Is and How to Succeed With and Beyond Your Music. So the key is in the book, I've set it up and explain it how I realized that my gift was not my, my gift was not my musical ability. My gift is the way I think. The music is just an avenue by which my giftedness is displayed through. You got it? So who I am away from the instrument is still going to benefit my wife. It's going to benefit my children. It's going to benefit those who hear me teach, in addition to hearing me play, because it's the same source. And so out of knowing who you are away from music, it will give you confidence, self-esteem. And my confidence, self-esteem came from having a relationship with God. But even before that, it was having a relationship with my father and my mom. They poured in me the foundation. They gave me the example. I watched them. My dad passed away at 2012, so I was 32, and my mom is still alive. But I'm just giving you some context. Sometimes we what they say, we miss seeing the forest because of the trees. So we're so tied up into superficial things, and we're tied up into an artificial world or arbitrary definitions or labels that we submit to, and then we get lost from knowing, like, this stuff is not created by God. This is man-made stuff. The industry, the labels, the genre, the style, all of that is for purposes for making money. You know what I'm saying? This is an industry. So you can't take on that identity alone, because yes, it's going to be harmful. That's why so many cats have drinking problems or drug addictions, and just mess over all these different daughters and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? I say daughters because you want to keep things in the context. You can't be selfish and serve yourself and going and messing over daughters and people's futures wives, because that stuff they have to carry on in their relationships. So I had understanding of that because of my biblical perspective, my biblical world view coming up and going out in the world and seeing what was going on out there. I was like, golly, man, I can't go that far. It's like, but that's an identity thing. The God because he gives us free will, you can do what you want. That doesn't mean that the end of where you're going is going to be the right place or destination. And so I felt like I came to the end of myself when even I was at the top. So when I was performing, traveling, playing around the world, playing gigs, being recognized as being one of the best jazz saxophone players or whatever, that was the most struggle that I had, because when I finished my master's degree and I came home, me and my wife came back to the area here in Fort Worth, and we moved into a duplex, and then was it even a month or a couple of weeks, somebody broke in and they stole my saxophones. They stole her computer and everything. It was a really low point. I was trying to look into buying a house, and I couldn't because my stuff was all over the place. When you're a musician, you don't have no consistent income. It's sporadic. So they can't use your pay stubs and stuff like that, or W-2. It's just all over the place. So we had to wait. We had to continue to rent, and we got broken in. They stole my stuff. And so I was like, God, I'm trying to live for you. I'm trying to take care of my family, my wife. Of course, I didn't have any kids at the time. So I was like, man, I needed some direction. So one of the things I did, I prayed, because, the Bible say, if any man lack wisdom, let him ask of God. So I was like, Lord, I need your wisdom. And so lo and behold, right after that, like a week ago, my wife's uncle, Will Ford, who's a phenomenal historian, Christian historian and evangelist, he at the time he was telling me about Pastor G starting the church. And so at the time I was like, that's where I need to go. So I went and hooked up with him. And in that season, he just helped me to learn that good stuff, Q. Okay, cool. All righty. Excellent. So I'm just looking at the comments. But anyway, he helped my pastor. Now, back then, he was just helping me to understand that, some stuff you need to get from another man, and I was pretty imbalanced because I was so strong and adamant about music, and I was adamant about my faith. I had locks at the time, but I needed that mentorship. I needed somebody who had experience balancing music and faith and different things, and business and finance and all of that, because there's a whole plate. There's a lot of stuff we got to carry, and it's not just making your music sound good. You know what I'm saying? It's more than that. And so I was practicing. I would practice six hours a day and stuff like that. And I was just in a habit of just doing it just since I was in high school. And so once you get married, and once you decide that you want to have kids or you want to pay bills, get a mortgage or buy a house or whatever, then you got to change some stuff. So this is kind of part of the story. I ended up starting JazzWebShed because I was like, I need to get paid for practicing. So that's kind of the history of how I was inspired to start that. And plus, I saw a lot of musicians were getting divorces. People who I admired that had families, musicians that were really good and traveling, had families. A lot of them divorced, and I was like, no, that's not what's up. I don't want that. So I had to make a decision, and I stopped going on the road, and then I started creating a lot of videos and putting them up on YouTube and stuff like that. And I created a membership site, JazzWebShed. Now it's Texas Tenor Academy. So I got into that because I wanted to make money here at the house. So we're still talking about identity, right? So a part of our identity, what I was saying is you look to other men. I'm a man, so I'm talking to men out there. So you look to other men. So I might be a gateway, right? I might inspire you and give you a model as far as what I did to monetize my music and to get my message out. I'm using social media. I'm putting out, have a membership site, have CDs I put out and all that kind of stuff. That's like a gateway. And when I say a gateway, it's basically inspiring you so you can look deeper and get into what you need to do, your identity. Are you married? Are you a father? You know what I'm saying? Are you taking care of them? You know what I'm saying? So it's something that's going to challenge you when you have somebody else who can be a mentor and like challenge you on those areas and help you balance things. Then it's really helpful. And so a lot of stuff you can get from the word, you can get from your personal study and prayer, but at the same time, God will use people to help people. So he'll use people, he'll use social media, he'll use a YouTube, a person or whatever, and they'll kind of nudge you, say, hey, you need to be thinking about this stuff. You don't need to just be out there roaming. You need to settle down and get serious so you can take care of your family or have a wife one day, take care of some kids, start saving money, start, looking into creating some other products and services outside of just playing gigs. So anyway, I was kind of just trying different things with the internet. I was playing gigs. I was not playing certain gigs because I didn't want to do the top 40 thing. And I didn't want to play certain songs because as a Christian, I wanted to represent things right. And I do a lot of original music. So I'm piecing stuff together. And so through the mentorship, through my pastor, and even, other people who are outside of music. And so I always for those people who talk to me, I'm always sharing audiobooks and different things that I'm reading and listening to, podcasts. So that had a big deal of, building me up in terms of understanding things from a business standpoint and financial standpoint, because everybody doesn't have everything in terms of people who you may admire. So for instance, I use this example also in the book, like listening to different musicians. I liked John Coltrane. I like Sonny Rollins. I like Cannonball Adderley. These are all, notable jazz saxophonists, and they all have different things that they really do well, characteristics. But even to take it a step further, you're admiring them for their playing ability. You don't know what their personal lives was like. A lot of them, sadly to say, not necessarily them, but a lot of the people who we admired musically struggled with drug addictions. But my thing is, and what I'm saying even in this talk, it has everything to do with identity. You know what I'm saying? We are now in 2023. We got so much information that is really quick at our disposal. We can find everything, by Googling and doing AI, Chat GPT, and all that kind of stuff. So our knowledge is very much so. We're made aware of a lot of stuff that previous generations might not have been aware of. So yeah, we understand that. But my thing here now is to make sure you take advantage of what you have right now in terms of that will aid in you to better present who you are outside of just playing a gig. Your value is higher than that. And I even heard something recently. You got more to offer than just your playing ability. That's what I'm saying. And so here, even recently, I heard something that was phenomenal. So this whole identity thing is still unfolding for me. You know what I'm saying? So one of the highlights I heard, it was Myron Golden. This was powerful. He was breaking down, this was a video on how to go from $1 million a year to $1 million a month. And so he was saying it's easier to do it, but he was saying it's all about communication. And this is part of the reason why I'm doing this talk, because it really hit home. And what he said, is a value is created by the message you carry and the faith it creates. You see, one more time, value is created by the message you carry and the faith it creates. All right. And so when I heard that, I was like, wow. And this really connects with even what my pastor told me years back. He said, Quamon, you make money with your mind, not with your music. And that messed me up. That, like, God was just showing me, just nudging me, just touching me a little bit. It's like, yeah, you know, that's all good. You can play real good. Yeah, that's fine. You're applying all these principles and discipline to playing. That's good. You're putting out albums. You're publishing stuff. You know, that's fine. But let me tilt you a little bit this way. Let me show you. It goes a little deeper, right? It goes a little deeper. And so, but Myron was talking about how it's a cap on certain jobs, you know, work for hire. You can only make so much, like he said, hammering a nail. You can, and so for the people who manage people who hammer nails, you know, they make a little more than the folk who do the work. That's a manager. You go from an employee to a manager, and then the visionary, which is the CEO, they're making all kind of money, and they're making money with their ideas. They're making money with their vision, and they're having their managers to implement the vision that they have and put a time frame on it, because they got to manage the workers and make sure they do the job in a certain time, you know. And so just understanding how things work, like, and not getting so caught up in being a great technician. Not saying it's bad, but that's like the first step. You know, we have to graduate and understand that our music ability is like one asset. You know what I'm saying? It's an asset, but it's not the only asset. When the pandemic happened, a lot of cats were really struggling because they couldn't play gigs. A lot of cats didn't know what they were going to do. They had identity crisis, because I got to make it happen. I got to pay bills. Bills don't stop. They don't care about no pandemic. The lights, the internet, you know, those bills have to be paid. That's residual. And so that's the thing, too. At an earlier age, in my 20s, I learned about, you know, you need to have residual income. And so I've been doing a lot of this stuff with investing, you know, really in my 20s. And I did real estate. I did crypto investing, trading, still do a lot of that here today. But I'm looking over the course of my life and kind of explaining this now. And like I say, it's always evolving or unfolding. You get more insight the more that you hear things. You know, it's like certain messages from certain people who are farther along. They help you to even better package up or do things to better package up what you do. So it's almost like you have to keep reinventing yourself. You know, you might have did some particular thing, like, for instance, like people who are athletes, their identity is wrapped up in their ability. But as soon as they hit, you know, mid 30s to going into 40s, they have to change their identity. You know, they have to do something different. A lot of those guys end up investing, you know, getting philanthropy or become a coach, or they pour into the next generation. But here's the deal. Here's the deal. They use their mind. They use their skill and the way they think, and they transfer it into other people, into young people. That's where the value is. And so I was like, the more and more I understand or am understanding this, that's a very powerful place and a valuable place to be functioning in. Playing gigs is cool, it's great. But what I'm seeing is the most value that I'm gonna be able to give and even create is through igniting the faith in you. If you don't have it, or if you don't understand, I can talk and talk from my experience, because I have experience and accomplishments in jazz music and put out albums and stuff like that, that's like credibility to know that the mindset that I had and the discipline that I applied in those areas will qualify me to be able to speak to you about being successful or give you insight on how you can organize things in your own life so that you can get similar results, or basically fine tune where you are in your development as a man, a woman. If there's women out there, I'm not trying to be, exclude you, but I'm just, speaking. Most of my audience is men. I look at the analytics. But anyway, but yeah, it's all about being solid with your identity as a man, a woman, a husband, a wife, and then a mother, a father, and a mother. Because that's very important, because what'll happen is you'll be spinning your wheels, doing all this stuff, having fun, traveling the world, playing, getting notoriety and all of that, and you don't really have a legacy besides the audible stuff, or besides what you've created or contributed to the world sonically. You know what I'm saying? And that can influence people. But at the same time, when you're playing for people, when we're playing for people, we're playing for families. We're playing for people who are hurt. We're playing for people who've been through traumatic experiences. We're playing for people who've lost loved ones. We're encouraging their heart. So that's a piece. Playing music is a piece of it, but really who you are as a person, you need to be whole. You need to know who you are and what you are called to do. If I don't play saxophone anymore, my wife is going to love me. My son is going to love me. My daughter is going to love me. My mom. People love me for who I am. God loves me for who I am and who he's created me to be. The music is what I wanted. I got fascinated with that. And so I do it, and I do it well. I hear stuff and I'm able to communicate what I hear. And that's a discipline in itself. But God will use these things metaphorically and then teach a bigger goal or a bigger call. Because when we're young, we're immature, and we get fascinated with things that have been designed by the world or certain industries and stuff. We want to act, we want to play, you know what I'm saying? We want to do these things, but really you can't forget about God's program. That's the thing, because what'll happen is you get so wrapped up in the artificial thing or the superficial things, and then you feel empty inside because you're fulfilling man's desires, even your own. You're fulfilling your own desires, but really you haven't taken time to hear God, understand what he wants, and walk it out, because you hustled. You so much in the hustle. You so much in the grind. And then years are getting away from you, and you're not married, or you've been married and divorced, because of your schedule, your focus, your priorities are off. Or even if you have a family, you can't take care of them because you're not making enough money, because it's not enough gigs. Or, you know what I'm saying? It's like all of these things are just stacking up on top of each other, and it's going against you. But the underlining issue is your identity. You don't know really who you are, and you never stop to take the time to lay it out. And a lot of this is coming from my class that I've been teaching. I teach a music business class, and one of the things that I talk about is brand. Like, what's your brand? What's your mission statement? And we did an exercise where I have questions. I ask them questions and have them to answer those questions, and from that, we'll pull in what should be your mission statement and what should be the keywords and all that. Because even just from the way we function today with social media, everything is about the hashtag and the keywords. That's how people will be able to find you, defined, in terms of what explains what you do, the emotions that are tied to what you do, or that's ignited in people who hear you, or, you know what I'm saying? So all of that has to be clearly defined, you know what I'm saying? So it's a lot to this identity thing. And I'm seeing that it continues to unfold and develop. So with that said, I want to invite you. First and foremost, I put a link in the description of this video. But I'm telling y'all, it's going to get real from this point moving forward for me. And I'm going to share more about this topic. And you can get my book to start with at the link that is on this page, The Christian Musician. Just go there. You can get it on Amazon, or you click that link. That's a link that'll take you to where you can listen to it on Audible. And I also put my number there. That number is 972-232-7185. And you can text book to that number. And that's a way that you can get on my text blast link. And I'm not texting a bunch, but when I'm doing something or when I create something that is pertaining to this area, I can let you know what's going on. Because like identity is like an ongoing thing in terms of understanding. Because I was telling one of my friends today, another trumpet player, producer, we were talking on the phone, and I was just telling him the thing about, when you're in business and when you're learning new stuff, you have to implement what you learn. And so sometimes you have these epiphany moments where you just didn't have that perspective a year ago. So you might have been inspired to do a certain thing a certain way, but then as you mature and the more information you get, then you got to clean up your house. You got to clean up your online house or your digital, homes, you know what I'm saying? And even your message and your products and services. It's like you have to continually tweak and implement with the new perspective that you have. And that's a challenge. And but anyway, we were talking about that. But I'm excited, and that's what I wanted to talk to you about today. And hopefully this was helpful. I'm looking at some of the comments over here. Let me see if I have anything. Francesco said, pure wisdom. It also applies to other activities. Yep. Myself, a lawyer. Oh, wow, he's a lawyer. And your words are fully applicable. That's right. Thanks, and keep it going, my friend, as always. Well, I appreciate it. You never know who's watching. And this is the real essence of artistry. That's right. A breeze of new air that completely sets you apart from those robots that play with pure virtuosity versus soul. Man, that's really good. That's right. And artistry. Yeah. Your speech is inspiring. That's powerful, man. And that's what it's about. I mean, I've seen that coming up. I saw cats who were virtuosos on the saxophone. I've seen, departments, schools of music who would, pump out these machines. They were great readers. They could play, but they didn't have no identity, and I made it a point to be true to first of all, be true to God and be true to people. I don't do fake well, even with teaching. Like, I like to tell people the truth. I like to give people the truth. But when you're in an academic setting, a lot of times they want you to not deal with certain topics, or a lot of times the controversy is the people who are teaching are really not qualified because they don't have no real experience. You know what I'm saying? And it's a lot. We talk about cultural, we talk about spiritual, you know what I'm saying? It's like, it's only so much you're going to get in a university setting, you know what I'm saying? Because that's their environment. And I'm not putting it down because I teach at a university. But I always, wanted to be real and true and share the real. And I think that's what people connect with my music, the spirit of my music, and what I stand for. So that's all for this talk. And thank y'all for listening. Thank you all for subscribing. Leave a comment. And if you want to show some love and send a virtual tip, you can go to QuamonFowler.com/pay, or you can, do a super chat here on YouTube or whatever. Make sure also that you send me a text message to get on my list. Just text book to that number, and I'll be able to follow up with you for things that I'm going to do and create around this area and topic. This is all kind of unfolding, but I want to do more talks addressing these issues and even this area, and even take here's some experiences from you and kind of help you with your unraveling this thing. If you are a musician that's struggling with identity. But first step is to get the book, The Christian Musician, Learn What Your Real Gift Is and How to Succeed with and Beyond Your Music. And I am working on a follow-up, The Entrepreneurial Musician, or I might change the title, because that's, I'm taking from the curriculum I created for my music business class. So, but I'll keep you up to date on that as it unfolds. But for now, that's all I have for you. We were able to be on here a good 52 minutes, so under an hour. So if there's no comments or questions, then I will end this stream. So thank y'all so much for listening, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace.